The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Autosportinsurance.com, Syntix Innovative Lubricants, Magler, create your own digital magazine, and Valero, FIA approved race and rally base layers. Hello and welcome to our look back at the 2016 Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli. This was the 16th consecutive year that the Dutch-based Supercar Challenge has competed on national and international tracks, a remarkable achievement given how many other racing series have fallen by the wayside in that time. The Supercar Challenge is a GT and touring car series, and it owes its success to the fact that it's a real drivers' championship. It's got simple rules designed to enhance the pleasure of competing for teams and drivers. The 2017 calendar has already been published, with events at the Red Bull Ring and at Spa, at Brands Hatch, at the Nürburgring, at Zolder, Assen and Zandvoort. 2017 promises to be as spectacular a season as 2016. We start our look back with the Supersport class, the fast touring cars again providing close, exciting racing. This is the BMW Z4 GTR of Erik van der Munckhof, last year's championship runner-up when Koen Bogaerts here on the right won the Supersport title. Van der Munckhoff's quick, he'll be one of the favourites for this year's championship, and he wins the first race with Dennis de Borst and Maarten de Klein's Seat Leon finishing in second, father and son Ronald and Loek van Loon in third with their BMW M3. Three strong sets of championship contenders on the podium for race one. In the second encounter at Zolder, the 90-minute endurance race, Erik van der Munckhof again takes the lead in the Supersport class here in the middle of the field, behind the faster GT cars. Maarten de Kleijn is second in the blue and chrome Seat Leon Cup Racer. We're on board with Ronald van Loon in third in the BMW, and he continues to chase all the way to the pit stop. The battle then being taken up by teammates Dennis de Borst and Loek van Loon. It's de Borst's second year in the four-cylinder Seat Leon. Its cornering speed is higher than the BMW, but on the straights, the 3.2-litre BMW six-cylinder has a power advantage. Loek van Loon grabs the lead and holds onto it until a broken drive shaft throws a spanner in the works. The race is over for the father and son. Their disappointment is clear. Their retirement means that Dennis de Borst and Maarten de Kleijn grab their first win of 2016 and with it, the Supersport title lead. But during the second round of the championship at Osjesleben, their race is over even before the mandatory pit stops. He said, I was really chasing hard, then suddenly we had an ECU problem, think it's a faulty mapping sensor, no turbo pressure, backup mode on the motor, and that was it. They're not the only ones hitting bad luck in Germany. The engine in Priscilla Spellman's Lotus Exige lets go and her race is over. Race leaders PEDRO and MARCEL van der MAAT also end up having technical problems, meaning Ronald and Loek van Loon grab their first win of the season here in Osjesleben, bringing huge delight to the team, which hasn't tasted victory in quite some time. Really exciting, says Luke. The tyres were completely worn. I was all over the place. I had contact with Henry Zumbrink, went off briefly, but still managed to hang on to the lead. The father and son duo's win means they are now 7 points behind the new Supersport Championship leader Erik van der Munckhof on the right here, having finished third. Van der Munckhof is less fortunate in race 2, however, a rock damaging the radiator and forcing retirement in the closing stages. A golden opportunity then for Dennis de Borst and Maarten de Kleijn to reclaim lost ground. They take full points when race leader Huub Del Nooy makes a rare mistake in the hotel curve. He loses a lot of time and Dennis de Borst goes through to grab the lead. It's a lead that he will hold all the way to the checkered flag. Dennis de Borst and Maarten de Kleijn therefore claiming their second win of the season. Huub Del Nooy and Robert van den Berg finish second. Dennis Heuveling and Art-Jan Ringelberg back on the podium in third in their Seat. Erik van der Munckhof still leads as we head to round 3 at Spa-Francorchamps, but with everybody on slicks and rain approaching, it all goes wrong at the top of the Radiant. With such a big crash, Erik van der Munckhoff's race weekend looks certain to be over.
Ja, het is een beetje zuur, ja. Dat kan ik wel vertellen. Nou ja, het begon...
It's really worst case scenario, said Erik. Started to rain on a few parts of the track. I was already thinking about coming in for wet weather tyres. Then I was heading up to RENAULT. Suddenly I lost control, crashed into the concrete wall going really quickly, and unfortunately that was the end of the race. Front end of the car is badly damaged, chassis bent, even the engine mounts are broken. So for sure it was a big hit. Van der Pas Racing rebuilds Eric's car for round 4 at Zolder, but the championship lead is now in the hands of Ronald and Luc van Loon, with Dennis de Borst and Martin de Klein second, Robert van den Berg in the white 1 Series BMW third in the standings. But the championship positions again are scrambled at the first race of the weekend. A guest driver outbrakes himself in the first chicane, taking out Ronald van Loon. The points leader is out of the race and drops to second in the standings. Dennis de Borst and Martin de Klein take over at the top as the race is won by Marcel van der MAAT and PEDRO, who've been stalked by bad luck in every race in 2016 up to this point. No wonder the team are jubilant. And then came Sunday's amazing race, where Jan van der Kooi had pole and held the lead in the first lap of the race with the orange BS Racing BMW behind him. Third was Eric van der MUNCKHOF, followed by guest driver Bob Herber in the BMW M3 GTR. And we're just behind Art-Jan Ringelberg around the outside. This time comes Robert van den Berg. He moves up to 7th. Art-Jan Ringelberg shakes his head as he gets shuffled down to 8th place. Black car is Van der Kooi, then Van der MAAT, Van der MUNCKHOF and Herber, the BMWs. Right behind Dennis de Borst, then Ronald van Loon. And Van Loon already under pressure for 6th position from Robert van den Berg. Chasing him down into the braking area, the 1 Series right on the back bumper of the ex-World Touring Car M3. And he's got a good exit here. Look, he's got a run going. Can he find room around the outside? He can, and he moves up into 6th position as they head towards the Jackie Ick chicane at the end of the lap. Well, Van den Berg really started to chase up the order. His next target is Dennis de Borst in the SEAT. And as Jan van der Kooi clears off out front, Marcel van der MAAT, Eric van der MUNCKHOF, Bob Herber battling 2nd, 3rd and 4th. And there goes Van der MUNCKHOF. Again, a great run through the chicane. He's got alongside. You saw number 2 in the window of Marcel van der MAAT, and he remains number 2 under braking. Jan van der Kooi still out of sight. And suddenly Van der MUNCKHOF will be under pressure from Bob Herber. He made a bit of a hash of that chicane going into shallow. And Jan van der Kooi easing away. This is going all too well for him. So Marcel van der MAAT once more with Van der MUNCKHOF right underneath his rear wing. Then Bob Herber, and look behind. Dennis de Borst under pressure from Robert van den Berg, and he goes through for 5th position. Well, that was a classic Sterlingse move down the inside on the pit straight. Back with our 2nd place battle. This is the Supersport battle again. Marcel van der MAAT in front, Eric van der MUNCKHOF. Has he got a good run going this time? He's tried every lap this same move, trying to come up the inside into the Lucien Bianchi corner, hard on the brakes, and this time it looks like he's got through. And as van der MAAT gets eased out wide, Bob Herber comes alongside him as well. Up to the first chicane, they are wheel to wheel, nose to nose. Van der MUNCKHOF is in 2nd, and Van der MAAT holds on to 3rd from Bob Herber. Right behind him, though, is Robert van den Berg. Correction, right behind him now is Dennis de Borst. So Van den Berg got held up on the exit there, and de Borst goes through and puts in the move on Bob Herber. He takes 2 in the run between the first and the second chicane. That was a great run from Dennis de Borst. Here he comes again, down the inside into the Jackie Ick chicane, but Van der MUNCKHOF holds his line really well, and Van der MAAT, oh, little nudge there, he goes off, comes back on, but through has gone the SEAT. Dennis de Borst up to 3rd, Bob Herber goes by for 4th, and I think Van der MAAT's in trouble. Yes, Van der Berg has gone by him for 5th position as well, right behind Ronald van Loon and Art-Jan Ringelberg. Well, this could have gone really well for Marcel van der MAAT. He gets the run on Van der MUNCKHOF down the inside. And here, he turns in over the curbs. They're wheel to wheel. But Van der MUNCKHOF gets a little skid going on there. Knocks Van der MAAT on the grass. No traction whatsoever. Whoom, whoom, whoom. They all go straight by him on the start-finish straight. After 34 furious laps, Robert Vandenberg comes out on top on the greasy track. He claims his first win of the season, but he looks absolutely shattered. I gave it everything in the first stint, he said. I had it in my head that I was going to just do 30 minutes, so I didn't have to hold back. When I came in for the pit stop, it started to drizzle, more rain was coming, so I thought it was better for me to stay in the car as I knew the conditions better. But the fan in the car wasn't working, temperature was around 80 degrees, it was a nightmare. Still able to win, really happy. I just need a bit of oxygen. The car was great though, everything worked out really well. His first win moves Robert Vandenberg up to second in the standings, but Dennis de Borst and Martin de KLEIJN still lead the Supersport title race as they head to the TT Circuit of Assen and round 5. There, the SEAT Leon driver's comfortable lead vanishes as it goes completely wrong in race 1. The SEAT is out, but again, Erik van der MUNCKHOF sustains a huge amount of damage, bad luck seeming to haunt him this season. Dennis de Borst and Martin de KLEIJN somehow keep the championship lead. Ronald Luuk van Loon puncture in both races. Robert Vandenberg didn't start with engine problems. Dennis HOUWELING won on Sunday, and with teammate Art-Jan Ringelberg, he now moves to third in the championship. In the 6th race weekend at OORD Snetterton, Art-Jan Ringelberg and Dennis HOUWELING won the first race to claim the Supersport title lead. But they couldn't enjoy that for long. On Sunday, Dennis de Borst and Martin de KLEIJN won again to retake the advantage. And as for Erik van der MUNCKHOF, well, clearly 2016 is not his season. Van der MUNCKHOF's wretched season continues at Spa for round 7. He's first to arrive at an oil spill at the end of the straight. There are no warning flags. Van der MUNCKHOF's season comes to a premature end. Hopefully 2017 will offer him much better fortune. Fate certainly needs to give him a break. Ronald and Luuk van Loon will end up taking a slender lead into the championship finale at Assen after Martin de KLEIJN spins in the warm-up lap at Spa. But it is going to be close. Dennis de Borst makes inroads into the 7-point disadvantage by taking 2 poles. Consequently, they start race 1 just 5 points behind. In the first 60-minute race of the weekend, Dennis de Borst holds the lead from the start. But Ronald van Loon is also taking no prisoners. He stays close to Dennis de Borst. He started in 7th, picks up 3rd here behind Benjamin Vandenberg and race leader de Borst. Ronald and Luuk van Loon finish 4th, and the race win and fastest lap go to Dennis de Borst and Martin de KLEIJN, who also retake the championship lead by a single point. Rather than attack, they now have to defend in the finale. In the treacherous conditions, Jan van der Kooij's Black Lotus Exige takes the lead from Dennis de Borst. Ronald van Loon is 4th, behind the orange BMW of PEDRO. But the championship is decided on the very first lap, when Ronald van Loon spins and ends up on the wet grass. He is able to continue, but the gap to the leaders is so large that they never get close. Dennis de Borst and Martin de KLEIJN finish 90 minutes of racing as the 2016 Supersport champions.
Van Loon was gespind in de eerste ronde.
Van Loon spun on the opening lap. I even lapped him in my stint. Then they went out on slicks, and that was a mistake, I think. I understand why they did it. They had to try something, and the track was drying quickly, but after lapping him, I knew we were safe. I cruised towards the finish. That's all we needed to do. The car was great. Everything was great. Team had done a fantastic job, and we've won the title. Art-Jan Ringelberg and Dennis HOUWELING, with 9 podiums and 3 race wins this season, made an impressive debut. They missed the first race weekend, but are just 2 points away from second in the championship and 7 from the champions. Very promising for 2017. Certainly, it's clear the new generation of TCR cars like the SEAT Leon are very competitive in the Supersport class. There are changes afoot in the sport class for 2017. The BMW 235 and 135i cars and other 6-cylinder motors will get their own class, Supersport 2. The sport class will be for 4-cylinder engines of up to 2.5 litres, so the level of competition will broaden. That will make the sport class more accessible for older generation cars. The entry fee has been reduced for Supersport 2 and Sport as well. The organisers expect a large number of new entries. these divisions will share the same 8 rounds in 2017 as all the other classes. So let's take a look at 2017's calendar. The season begins with the Easter races at Zandvoort in the Netherlands. A new track in the 17-year history of the Supercar Challenge, as round 2 will be held at Austria's Red Bull Ring. The traditional Euro races return to the calendar at Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. And the second Belgian round is at the historic Flemish circuit of Zolder, the setting for the Super Prix in July. The Supercar Challenge has been part of TT Circuit Assen's racing days since 2002, and the Gamma Racing Day will be back on the 4th to 6th of August. Brands Hatch returns with the long Grand Prix circuit, round 6 of the championship in early September. And then another legendary circuit, the Nürburgring, at the end of September on the Grand Prix circuit. And the season, as ever, will round out at the Formido final races in October at the TT Circuit of Assen. A great calendar with great tracks and undoubtedly great racing to come in 2017. But before all of that, let's continue our look back at 2016. Trax Racing drivers Chris VOET and Park van den Broek were second in last year's Sport Championship with their Peugeot RCZ behind CLIO driver Wiebe Weitzers. They returned this year as some of the favourites for the title, but so too are Niels Kool and Bart Drost as they debut a 6-cylinder BMW 135i run by Davy Tech Engineering. They took pole 9 times during the season with the debut car. Much was expected of the Spirit Racing Renault Clios, but it all went wrong for Stan van Oord in race 1 at Zolder. He couldn't avoid a fast-slowing car in front of him. No points for him. Unlucky for Carlien Bergsma and Peter de Jong as well. They were 4th in the championship last year. The Lotus Exige also involved in that crash, although they did manage to finish in 7th in the opening race. Niels Kool and Bart Drost won the first race of the season. Chris VOET and Bart van den Broek took 2nd, while BMW duo John van der Voort and Benjamin van den Berg claimed 3rd. The Peugeot pair found themselves battling another BMW in race 2 at Zolder, the 130i of Harold Visselink and Henk Tappel. But Chris VOET and Bart van den Broek ultimately came out on top, winning the battle and taking the lead of the Sport Championship away from Zolder. Tight and twisty Oschersleben favours a light nibble car. The Renault Clios were in their element. This is race 2, Stan van Oord battling with the championship's 2nd place car. Bart Drost driving the BMW is only 2 years into racing cars, having spent years racing on 2 wheels. Drost makes a mistake, Stan van Oord the beneficiary. He puts the Clio alongside the BMW to take 4th place. Coming onto the long straight, of course, the engine power of the 135i comes in handy for Bart Drost. He retakes 4th place with no problem at all. No surprise, the 6-cylinder BMWs are getting their own class next year. But Stan van Oord is not a man to leave things as they lie. He counterattacks once more as they get into the twisty technical circuit. And there it all goes wrong. Bart Drost and Niels Kool recover to finish 2nd, Van Oord in 6th. The race win, though, for the 2nd time that weekend, goes to Harold Visselink and Teun Rutgers. With the standard BMW 135i Cup car, they outwitted everybody. They continue their form in round 3 at Spa. Teun Rutgers and Harold Visselink right at it as they pass Bart Drost in a brilliant move at Fania. The Renault Clio of Stan van Oord and Rob Niemann close behind. Not much later, Stan van Oord would also go by Bart Drost, this time in a much cleaner manner. But as often happens, it started to rain at Spa, and that largely dictated the outcome. The BMW 235i of father and son Vannerum won the race at their home track, ahead of championship leaders Chris VOET and Bart van den Broek. At Zolder, Niels Kool took no prisoners. Racing without teammate Bart Drost, he was 2nd and 1st, while the Peugeot drivers had 2 5th-place finishes. And that means Niels Kool and Bart Drost are the new points leaders. In the 5th round on the TT Circuit of Assen, on Saturday, Stan van Oord claimed his first victory of the season. The Clio driver clearly delighted. Niels Kool and Bart Drost also ended up on the podium, but Bart van den Broek and Chris VOET did not, meaning the Peugeot duo are slipping back in the standings. Less lucky it was Rob Niemann, 3rd in last year's Sport Championship. In front of packed grandstands, his Renault Clio ended up in the wall, his race over. But what happened? In the replay, It looks like he's a stunt driver. The Spirit Racing Clio slides on its side in front of the main grandstand and eventually comes to a halt on the pit wall. And another replay shows us exactly what did happen. Behind Wim Lemmers in the red Ford Focus Silhouette, who suddenly slows into chicane, Rob NIEMAN can't avoid hitting him and is launched into a dramatic race-ending crash. The other Spirit Racing Clio had more luck. Stan van Oord battling with Lotus Exige driver Peter de Jong for the lead, but de Jong knows every centimetre of the TT circuit. He and KLEIJN Bergsma won the main race in the Gamma Racing Day. Stan van Oord 6th after car problems. Niels Kool and Bart Drost didn't make it to the podium either, allowing Chris VOET and Bart van der Broek to close in the points. Niels Kool raced alone again at Snetterton in the rain. He won the first race of the weekend and on Sunday ended up in 6th, but he keeps the lead in the championship. In race 2 there was a fierce battle for 3rd between Chris VOET and KLEIJN Bergsma, bumping into each other and both of them dropping back down the order. Peter de Jong not only super fast on his home track Assen, but he's also very good on new tracks. He dominated the second half of the race to win ahead of Stan van Oord and Chris VOET and Bart van den Broek, and all with a loose diffuser. At Spa, the Peugeot drivers won on Saturday ahead of their main championship rivals, with Harold Visselenk and Teun Rutgers in 3rd. But Rutgers showed that he had the pace to beat everyone on Sunday. He led the race with Chris VOET and Bart van der Broek in 2nd, Bart Drost in 4th. But he got into trouble when a GTB driver missed his braking point, smashing into the BMW. Luckily, there was little damage and he was able to continue the race, but the championship lead of Niels Kool and Bart Drost was then reduced to just 6 points. What should have been an exciting end to the season ended in tears for the Peugeot drivers. They were out of the race in Assen with a broken engine mount, so Niels Kool and Bart Drost ended their season with 10 podiums and 5 wins and the championship in the sport class. This is what we've been fighting for all season, of course. Well, we hoped it would happen today, but that didn't seem a very likely outcome. And when the Peugeot ended up having technical problems and was out of the race, Bart did a great job in his stint, brought the car in first place. We dropped back a few places because of the result seconds, but in my stint I managed to make my way forward and we finished first. And that's all we needed to win the championship today. Feels great. To be honest, it hasn't really sunk in yet, but I'm sure that'll come after tomorrow's race. That's it for the Sport Class and 2016. Next year, the 6-cylinder cars will be in Supersport 2, and there are many other rule changes for 2017. We'll bring you up to speed with those after the break, together with the highlights of this year's GTB, Super GT and Super Lights Challenge seasons. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Autosportinsurance.com, Syntix Innovative Lubricants, Magler, create your own digital magazine, and Valero, FIA approved race and rally base layers. Welcome back to our review of the 2016 Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli. The GT and Touring Car Championship's been around now for 16 years, and for 2017 there are changes afoot. From next year, GTB will be the new main class of the Supercar Challenge, reducing the speed differential with slower classes like the sport classes and helping to increase safety. Super GT won't disappear completely, rather it will have its own championship alongside the Super Lights class for prototypes, as we saw a couple of times already in 2016. That means the Cup Porsches, BMW Silhouettes and other GTB cars will be the main players in the Supercar Challenge, and interest in the new GT division is huge. The power-to-weight ratio's set at 3.4 kilos per horsepower measured at the wheels versus the dry weight of the car but with driver. So what happened in this year's GTB Championship battle? Let's take a look. Belgian Vaard Sluys was 3rd in the GTB Championship last year. It's his 4th year in JR Motorsport's BMW Silhouette, a car he can drive almost blindfold. But that doesn't apply to his teammate Chris Matthews making his debut. However, his Belcar racing experience will undoubtedly come in very handy. Competition came from the Cup Porsches, driven by, for example, Jos Janssen, who moved from rallycross to circuit racing, and Super GT champion from last year, Roger GROUWELS, expected to be strong in his 991 GT3 Cup car. In the first race at Zolder, he battled with Chris Matthews in the BMW. After 60 minutes and 37 laps, the gap just 0.2 of a second as the reigning Super GT champion took his first win of the season. And he doubled up in race 2. Chris Matthews and Vard Sluys finished in last place when their car failed, a rarity this season, but it cost them a hatful of points in the championship. Roger Grauwels picking up his second race win ahead of Porsche GT3 drivers Jos Janssen and Art Bosman. At Oschersleben, fortune favoured Belgians Vard Sluys and Chris Matthews. They won both races. This time, luck was on their side, and not on the side, for instance, of Art Bosman, who in the second race had to come in with a rear puncture. Jos Janssen would retain second in the championship as Vard Sluys and Chris Matthews took over the top spot from Roger Grauwels, who'd only attend a couple of races. But the Belgians' lead was jeopardised when things went horribly wrong in qualifying at Spa. Well, I noticed that the engine wasn't getting fuel, and the engine stopped, and then I tried to park it, but as soon as I tried to stop, the cockpit just filled with flames. Felt like an explosion with flames everywhere. Turns out the injector rail broke clean off, spraying fuel onto the cockpit floor, and then it was probably ignited by a hot exhaust pipe. So I was in a really awkward situation. The car was still moving, but I couldn't see anything because of the smoke, and I was going to try and get out immediately. With all the flames, it was really scary. They went from my feet right up to my helmet. I was completely engulfed. Because of the sun, I was using a dark visor on my helmet. I had to open the helmet because I couldn't see anything, and that's how I ended up burning my face. Vard Sluys out for the weekend. Chris Matthews, driving a much slower backup car provided by JR Motorsport, did manage to hang on to their championship lead, but the big advantage had disappeared, and Art Bosman now hot on their heels, second in the championship. For round 4 at Zolder, JR Motorsport had fully rebuilt the BMW M4 Silhouette, and the Belgian championship leaders showed that they still had confidence in the car and the team. On Saturday they won the race, and on Sunday finished in third as Art Bosman saw his chances go up in smoke, his engine failing in the final stages of race 2. Roger Grauwels is back, winning the third race for his season. Chris Matthews and Vard Sluys hanging on to first in the championship standings. At the TT circuit in Assen, the championship leaders won the first race of the weekend, and in the closing stages of the second, passed Roger Grauwels, denying him a fourth win of the season. Vard Sluys and Chris Matthews claimed their fifth race, nothing seeming to stand in their way. Jos Janssen used all his rallycross slippery surface experience on a flooded Snetterton to win the first race of the weekend, but on Sunday Vard Sluys and guest driver Michael Verhagen came out on top. The championship balance remained the same. It seemed as if the GTB title was destined to go to the Belgians. If Vard Sluys and Chris Matthews made no mistakes in the 7th round of the championship on their home track at Spa, they could be champions a round early. Saturday's race winner Jan Penlu shows us the onboard view of Sunday's 90-minute encounter. He starts second, the black BMW Dan Meyer in pole position, Chris Matthews starting from 4th in the GTB class. Joe Tuckey right in front in the Porsche, around goes the Ginetta. There's Art Bosman on the outside, and like Costa Canaroglu, it looks as though Chris Matthews is being deliberately cautious at the start of the race. Marcel van Berlo went by, Alfred Winkler going by in his Porsche as well. Well, you can't win a race on the first corner, but you sure can lose one. It's a 90-minute enduro, Chris Matthews wisely being cautious in the opening few corners. Rival Art Bosman can't afford to be cautious, he's got to attack, really needs to win. Great run up the Kemmel Straight from him. He goes by Dan Meyer, first time out in that BMW, and also past Joe Tuckey as well to move into second in the GTB class, scrambling his way through Les Combes. Battle for second in GTB, Art Bosman ahead of Marcel van Berlo, then Joe Tuckey in 4th, little queue building up with him, Thomas Winkler's Porsche, and then Chris Matthews and Dan Meyer in the white and black BMWs. Marcel van Berlo started 12th in GTB, and here he's in 3rd place, chasing out of Eau Rouge. On lap 4, gets a great slipstream on Art Bosman and goes underneath to take 2nd place, and that is bad news for Bosman. He really needs to get maximum points here in the GTB battle to try and keep his championship challenge alive. Teammate Dan Meyer riding shotgun, and Matthews where he needs to be to win the title here. In the Porsche, Art Bosman's championship challenge was already on the ropes, and it's dealt a further blow as Chris Matthews grabs third from him at La Source on lap 8. They don't need to beat Bosman, they don't need to win the race to take the title, but Matthews and teammate SLUYS would love to win it in style, especially here on home ground. After taking it easy to avoid dramas at the opening lap, Chris Matthews attacks again, this time passing Marcel van Berlo for second in the GTB class. But hang on, where's the black BMW of new boy Dan Meyer to the team? Answer is he's come in for a pit stop after contact. Well, Meyer new to the BMW Silhouette this weekend, working his way through sport class drivers and finding himself in a little knot of traffic. Seeing a gap open up, he dives to the inside, and there is contact with championship leader Bart Drost in the 1 Series. No such dramas for Chris Matthews. In the closing stages, teammate SLUYS sets about attacking race leader Jan Penlu. But the Frenchman stays just out of reach of SLUYS. That, however, doesn't matter. A delighted JR Motorsport team greet the BMW as it reaches the finish line. The Belgian duo have won the GTB title on home soil. Jan Penlu, double race winner at Spa. SLUYS and Chris Matthews in second have done enough, though, to tie up the GTB title for 2016.
Ja, top hè. We waren aan een verhaal begonnen dit jaar.
Amazing, says Vard. We embarked on a new adventure and we didn't know what to expect. I've known Chris for ages, but we never ended up in the same car. I knew what he could do, and JR Motorsport is the perfect team for the job, so I convinced Chris to join the team. Our goals for the season were clear, but you never know if it's going to go exactly how you want to in motorsport. We've had our share of bad luck as well, but the team produced a perfect handling car every race weekend, and it's good to see that at the end of the season we're both very quick. Chris was constantly improving his pace, and now we're a force to be reckoned with. We're keen to defend our title next year. After the final round of the TT Circuit of Assen, SLUYS and Chris Matthews win the title by a whopping 81 points. They'll defend their title next year, but in the renamed GTB class, the GT division. Super GT, the former Premier League, and the prototypes of the Superlights Challenge make their own grid next year in the GT and Prototype Challenge. But they've already competed together in one grid this year, and if you're wondering how their season went in 2016, you can find out after the break. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Autosportinsurance.com, Syntix Innovative Lubricants, Magler, create your own digital magazine, and Valero, FIA approved race and rally base layers. Welcome back to our season review of the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli, charting the highs and lows of 2016. But first, let's take a look into the future. Next year, Super GT won't be part of the Supercar Challenge. They'll have their own championship with the LMP3 and other prototypes. This year, the two classes have already competed together on a combined grid, and that resulted in some great battles. We start our look back in Super GT. Last year, Henry Zumbrink narrowly missed out on the title despite claiming more wins than anybody else in a season with the Volvo S60 V8. This year, he returns with a Silhouette car, again run by Davy Tech Engineering. Henk Tace also returns, this time with a completely new project, the Pumax RT. As the Volvo does, it's got a Corvette LS7 V8 with around 680 horsepower. Not for this 72-year-old veteran, the easy road. New entries in the Super GT class were the two MOSLER MT900R GT3s from the Spanish team E2P Racing. Number 153 is for Greek driver Costa Canaroglu and Spaniard Oliver Campos-HULL. The two Moslers have less power than the other V8s, but they're also a lot lighter. The season opener at Zolder was won by Indy and Milan Doncia with a Ligier LMP3, ahead of Henry Zumbrink and Mosler drivers Costa Canaroglu and Oliver Campos-HULL. In Sunday's main race, Henry Zumbrink took the lead at the start thanks to the enormous power of the big V8. But to stay ahead of the Ligier LMP3 of Indy Dontje, he had to brake extremely late and it all went wrong immediately. Everyone avoided the drama. Zumbrink rejoined dead last. After the mandatory pit stops, Oliver Campos-HULL battled with Henk Thees for third place. Though sadly the Pumacs went a little further. After the stops, Costa Canaroglu and Oliver Campos-HULL clung on to the lead, but then lost it in the final stages to Henry Zumbrink in the Volvo. Costa Canaroglu and Oliver Campos-HULL would eventually end up in third, as Henry Zumbrink claimed his first race win of 2016. The Moslers called the shots though at round 2 at Oschersleben. The 3.7 kilometre East German circuit played to their handling strengths, and Henry Zumbrink and Henk Thees couldn't come close in the tight corners. Victory on Saturday went to Costa Canaroglu and Oliver Campos-HULL as they closed the gap to championship leader Henry Zumbrink, who ended up having trouble in race 2. He had a rear suspension failure. He was able to finish the race in third, but others also got into trouble, including Henk Thees. And as Costa Canaroglu spun away the lead, victory in the end went to Alberto Martin and Pedro Salvador in the other Mosler. Henry Zumbrink and Spa-Francorchamps, it seems, will never be friends. In 2015, he didn't make the finish in either race at the Spa Euro races. In 2016, race 1 also ended prematurely because of problems with a wheel bolt that stuck on while they were trying to change onto wets. The championship lead then handed to Costa Canaroglu and Oliver Campos-HULL, but they have their fair share of problems in the second race as their gearbox fails. Henry Zumbrink then reclaims the championship lead, but with the heavy rain that follows, he's stuck in 6th place. Victory eludes him, but he is the points leader as they head to Assen. Costa Canaroglu and Oliver Campos-HULL couldn't compete in the Gamma Racing Days, round 5 of the championship, and that meant the field was open for their rivals to make up places in the championship. And the result was a great battle between the Volvo and the Pumacs RT. After the stops, Henry Zumbrink's Volvo led SuperGT, Henk Thees right behind, with former teammates Martin Lanting and Bob Herbert 3rd and 4th in their different cars. Henry Zumbrink chasing the Ligier, and a narrow squeeze there as Henk Thees dives up the inside, through in Strubben and up into 2nd place. Now they're about to put a lap on Alberto Di Martin, and a little narrow miss again there for Thees with the Mosler driver. Zumbrink manages to make it through without too much drama. Davitech team, Henry Zumbrink's crew watching the screens. It's a great battle here. Henk Thees squeezes up the inside and has to take to the grass with all 4 wheels to get by the Mosler, who did not know he was coming. Henry Zumbrink continues to pile the pressure on the race leader. Henk Thees in the Pumacs RT ahead of the Volvo S60 V8. The checkered flag awaits at the end of the lap. Can the Davitech engineering driver get back in front, or will this be a monster weekend? He's got a run going, but Henk Thees has just enough in the tank to cover that. Zumbrink will have to go the long way round unless the back marker gets in the way at the chicane for the final time. They fly up towards the end of the lap, and drifting out wide, Henk Thees. Tidier line from Henry Zumbrink, but Thees has got the Gert Timmer chicane blocked. He will drag race Henry Zumbrink to the line, and it's going to be close, but it is victory for Henk Thees, his 2nd win of the weekend by 0.07 of a second. It was one of the closest finishes in the Supercar Challenge history. Henk Thees won both races in Assen, Henry Zumbrink closing the gap in the championship to be just 5 points behind Costa Canaroglu and Oliver Campos-HULL. But the damage and the bad luck in the previous races take their toll. Both Henry Zumbrink and Henk Thees decide not to travel to Snetterton for round 6. Costa Canaroglu and Oliver Campos-HULL win the first race and finish 3rd on Sunday. So if all goes well for them at Spa-Francorchamps, they could win the title, but they have to finish both races ahead of Henk Thees and Henry Zumbrink, and that's no easy task. But things are looking better when on Sunday both Henk Thees and Henry Zumbrink drop out of the race with mechanical woes. It's all looking good right up until this moment when Oliver Campos-HULL spins on the oil of Mosler driver Barry van Elk, and both cars make firm contact. So the championship will have to be decided in Assen. Or will it? Despite the damage, Oliver Campos-HULL brings the car across the finish line, and that is enough to become the Super GT champion. With 10 podiums and 4 wins in 2016, it's been an impressive season for Oliver Campos-HULL and Costa Canaroglu on their debut year in the Supercar Challenge.
Oh, fantastic! Fantastic! It exceeds my expectations. I think it was great. It was a fantastic race today. I really enjoyed the track, and what a way to finish today, and what a way to win the championship. It really was great. Great.
It's a special. Yeah, we've been together for 7 years already and winning some championships, so it's always special to win a championship with this team and with these people that we spend lots of time together.
After 8 rounds of racing, here's the final score in the Super GT class, which will be part of next year's GT and Prototype Challenge. It was an interesting mix with the LMP3 and other prototypes with their differences in engine power and aerodynamics. The LMP3s mostly have more streamlined bodywork and generate more downforce. This means they have an advantage in the corners. With their lower weight, they also have the advantage under braking and initial acceleration. But because of their lower power compared to the Super GT cars, they're weaker on longer straights. Should be a good recipe for great battles. With the huge success of LMP3 worldwide, more cars have been sold than can enter prestigious championships like the European Le Mans Series. So as expected, a number of LMP3 cars will increase the entry for the GT and Prototype Championship. Jan Lammers and Frits van Aert showed the potential of LMP3, taking a great victory in front of packed grandstands during the Gamma Racing Day. Just like this year, the Super GTs and LMP3s will be joined by the CN prototypes, cars like this, the Wolf GB08, and drivers like Rob Campus. There'll also be room for Norma's M20 FC. These CN prototypes are the lightest of all, and they have an even greater advantage under braking. In 2015, the title went to Belgians Sam de Jonge and Luc de Kock. This year, Luc de Kock teamed up with Tim Joosten to defend their title. The season started well at Zolder with a great battle for the lead, and ultimately a win on Saturday and a second place on Sunday for Joosten and de Kock. With 3 race wins in a row, it seemed to become a season that was guaranteed to go their way, until disaster struck during the second race at the TT Circuit of Assen. A rival clipped a back marker, and Joosten was unable to avoid the spinning Porsche. Fortunately, both drivers walked away pretty unharmed, but the cars were badly damaged. Del Dish Racing restored the Norma in time for the Formido final races, where they didn't manage to win, just a tenth of a second off the top step of the podium, but they still claimed the championship in the Super Lights Challenge.
Kampioen in allebei de kampioenschappen die we mee.
To be champion in both championships is just amazing, says Tim. We've had a great season. Special thanks to my teammate Luke, to the Del Dish Racing team, Triple Eight, my sponsors, everyone who's helped us out this year. It's been incredible. It's going to be hard to top this. If they want to defend their title next year, they'll have to do it in the new GT and Prototype Challenge. And that is it for 2016. Next year, a revised format, better competition across all divisions. The teams, the drivers and the fans can enjoy a 17th season of the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli, and we'll be there to enjoy it with them. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Autosportinsurance.com, Syntix Innovative Lubricants, Magler, create your own digital magazine, and Valero, FIA-approved race and rally base layers.